Hey, what's going on, everybody? Max here with BB, and today for 10 Minutes Max, we are going to end the week with a little bit of a recap, talk about some actual lower time frame structures, what it could potentially lead to in the coming weeks, and just generally where my mind is at. I feel like a lot of people are a little bit confused, or at least at a minimum fearful on the state of the market on the higher time frames because of some of the price action that we're seeing on the lower time frames. So I'm going to share my opinion. I'm going to tell you guys exactly where I think we're at. Spoiler alert, I still remain extremely bullish and optimistic. My bear case really is more chop and reaccumulation for a longer period of time rather than some sort of aggressive markdown or something. Before we dive into the charts, guys, please do me a solid and like the video and also subscribe if you're new here. We just blasted through 18,000 subscribers on YouTube. Huge accomplishment. Help us get to 20K. And additionally, I got a new camera and a new microphone. So I said to our producer, Ed, I said, Ed, give me the best on the market, man. I've had way too many comments about bad video quality and bad audio. Enough is enough. We got a 2160p, 60 FPS camera, and we got like a $350 microphone. If we're pumping out content like this, we got to do it the right way. So hopefully you guys notice a difference in the quality. We're going to start with Bitcoin here. Bitcoin obviously locally looking a little bit heavy, but I think the important thing to note here is that Bitcoin is just still in a range, right? And I pre-drew these just because I always say the videos are 10 minutes max and then I make them like 30 minutes. So we're going to try to get close to 10 minutes. It's certainly not going to happen, but I figure if I do some drawings in advance, we could save a little time. We're in a range low, deviation, range low, range high. We've yet to retag our range high, right? We've interacted with the mid range a handful of times. Even all of this right here, tons of interaction. We haven't revisited the range high, since middle of March. So, one thing to, keep in mind as well is there's a lot of highs, in my opinion, that can get tagged. Like, for one, we got some really juicy equal highs right here. Really, really nice equal highs. I can make the text a little bit bigger so you can see it. This is just resting liquidity. These are going to get tagged at some point, in my opinion. Additionally, you've got a really nice pronounced high right here. All these highs can get taken, then of course all the way at the range high. So we've got some liquidity, we've got some stops for sure to be taken to the upside. And I mean, look, locally, here's my thoughts. We're in this range. You can clearly see the interaction. We've got some resting liquidity and some stops above us for sure, in my opinion, that are at least being, they're in a position of vulnerability. All right. What we're seeing right now is the following. We mark up aggressively, from over here. We came back, backfilled in this inefficiency, at least, about half of it, which is pretty standard. We're stuck in this range and we've been here for over 3 months now. So I think it's conditioning you ultimately to feel as though, oh, we're not going up, therefore we must go down, where that's a bit of a fallacy, in my opinion. Like, just because something hasn't happened doesn't mean that the opposite will happen, okay? We're just ranging here. Like, Bitcoin is sitting between 60 and 70K, let's say. But to narrate further, we mark up aggressively, chop, 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 chop. Here's our range, put in a deviation or a bear trap. This is what I'm most focused on right here, is after we put in this deviation, how we popped right back up, chop, 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 chop. This is demand, right? Because whatever happened right in here, right in this region, led to expansion to the upside. So this is demand, all right? So deviation, bear trap, reclaim, demand confirmed because we expand out of it, and now we're coming back to retest previous demand, okay? So I'm expecting this level right here, especially because we also have a daily time frame inefficiency, to act as, this is not going to be easy to slice through, in my opinion, barring some sort of, I don't know, news-driven catalyst or something like that. But just trading off of technicals, I would be very, very surprised to see this previous demand, which, by the way, wasn't like one day. We spent almost 2 weeks, depending on how you want to measure it, reestablishing demand after setting a nice bear trap. And this, in my opinion, is coming back to retest it. All right. Additionally, we have kind of what's considered a PO3 setup, which is like you accumulate, you kind of have like a fake breakdown or like a deviation or manipulation below a local range, because this is sort of a local range within our range, right? And I can just make this red just to show you real quick. Like we have a local range right here within our bigger range. We're setting, in my opinion, another bear trap, coming back in to fill this daily time frame inefficiency and retest this previous demand. And in my opinion, it wouldn't be surprising to see, maybe this weekend down here, or who knows, pop up, reclaim the mid range and then also range low here, and then actually expand to the other side after setting a trap, in my opinion. So I don't think that things look bad here, right? I mean, locally, right, it's not fun to see price sliding, but this was always sort of a back of mind in the realm of possibilities to come back and retest previous demand. Let's move over to Ethereum now. So here's ETH. This is kind of a contingency plan, right? ETH is still within this range right here. I don't think we necessarily have to come back down to this box, but I would say if you do, that's a really interesting high probability spot to kind of size into some things, because for one, this was just like we talked about demand, right? Whatever happened right in here led to big expansion up. And I know we had, an ETF news catalyst, but nonetheless, this was still demand. This is huge demand. So if we, accumulate in here and we pop out of it, this is demand. It's not uncommon to see price come back, retest previous demand, chop, 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 and then actually start moving up. So look, this ETF move was pretty inefficient. Like if we go back and we look at it on the lower time frames, this happened really quickly, so it's not uncommon to see a backfill. Like let's just take a volume profile and actually look at it. Like look at this absence of volume right here. You can see very clearly, like there was no volume here. We spent no time in here at all. So price likes to come back and, fill in these voids, right? These absence, the absence of volume. So it wouldn't be, in my opinion, surprising to see something like this, even though, yes, locally it would suck. You don't want price to go down. Ultimately, it's healthy, and there is, look at this. Look at this volume profile. It shows you all the volume, from here all the way over. You can see tons of volume up here, no volume here. It's acting as a magnet. I wouldn't be surprised to see us come back into this region, all right? I would not be surprised at all, even if it's not fun. Market structure still looks healthy. It still looks, things look fine. Even just zooming out further onto the weekly here, right? Like just to put things into context further, like here, let me even remove this range. We'll just save this and we can come back to it. When I look at this ETH chart, this is generally what I see, right? Like this was your, bear market accumulation phase of a lifetime. This was your, hey, reestablish demand upon the breakout, where, bears at this point were looking for, hey, we lose this, re-enter the range, and then this is all a deviation, and they wanted lower, and they didn't get that, right? So at this point, we're not debating whether or not, this is, a deviation of this range. This is a 500-day range, confirm breakout and retest, expansion up. And now, presumably what we're seeing right now is just kind of like local reaccumulation. And you probably come back in to retest this, this block of orders somewhere around here, maybe 3,200. It wouldn't surprise me to see something, generally like this, right? And then up. And I don't know the exact path, right? But all I can tell you is like, these levels are clear. Like we've broken out of this range, and in my opinion, this is just sort of another reaccumulation before ultimately going higher. Like we could draw this as our range, something like this, and who knows how long we spend here. I hope it's not too much longer. But if I had to draw a comparison to, even something last cycle, I would view it probably most comparably to, if I had to draw a parallel, right, I'd probably say we were somewhere like in here, right? And it's definitely not perfect, okay? But from a timing perspective, I think this is just sort of like our next stop before we ultimately go higher. And if that means locally, we go a little bit lower, then so be it. But I generally don't think that we're gonna go like set a new low here for ETH. Like that's not my base case. I think that this ETF pump right here, we could certainly retrace this entire thing, but I would look for this level to put up a fight. Like if we did this, I would look for this right here, maybe a little deep wick and then like up. Okay. So that's just generally what I'm expecting, right? We'll see if it happens. But just given like my bias for Bitcoin here, going back to this chart, it would be shocking to see ETH go on and make a new low here, like sub 2,900, if I'm expecting Bitcoin to more or less hold this region. Like maybe we could come back into 64, maybe not. Like we'll have to see. But I'm not expecting Bitcoin to go, overly deep here. So I would expect, Bitcoin to hold around here. And here's the thing, though, to keep in mind: like altcoins get pretty smacked around when Bitcoin is feeling uncertain. But at the same time, altcoins will bounce back really aggressively, like the stronger, more reflexive ones. When Bitcoin pulls back just a little bit, altcoins get destroyed. When Bitcoin bounces back a little bit, the strong altcoins will show their reflexivity and they'll bounce back extremely hard. So let me give one comparison to something in Legacy where I think we're potentially at from a structural standpoint. Like I would look at this right here generally as comparable. This is Nvidia. It's not perfect, right? But we could maybe even tighten this up a little bit and go like right here. And I look at this basically like the deviation that we had on Bitcoin. I'll pull it back up too, just so you can get a quick look at it, right? Go back to the daily here. Something like this, right? So that deviation that I just drew for Nvidia is basically 57K Bitcoin. Lost the range low quickly, deep deviation, pop back up. And in my opinion, Bitcoin is kind of like in this region, somewhere around here. Like you pop back up after the deviation, you come back in, backfill some of these inefficiencies, kind of like Bitcoin's doing, deviation, pop back up, come back in, fill in the inefficiencies. And then I think from there, there's a strong case to be made for higher. There really is. So just kind of the way that, my eyes view it is like we spent a couple hundred days in this range here. This was all the way from, last summer, middle, July, all the way until, early 2024. I mean, that was a long, long time, guys. That was a long time. And, you can see that, people during this, people are trying to shorten Nvidia here. People were trying to shorten Nvidia because, I mean, for one, there was like this big gap and stuff like that, which in my opinion, you go and you look at Bitcoin. We don't have gaps for Bitcoin, right? But if we draw another volume profile here, you can see there's all these voids, right? Like you can see the absence of, this is Bitcoin's equivalent of a gap up, is like all these low volume regions. So a lot of people are looking to backfill and put in some volume there, in my opinion, similarly to how they were looking at Nvidia, going, we need to fill in this gap. And this must be distributive, right? Oh, look at these highs. Oh, we're gonna roll over, and then it ripped in your face, right? So I think that if I had to draw a comparison, it would be, Bitcoin is doing something like this, right? It's not perfect, but Bitcoin is somewhere in this region. So maybe we come back a little bit, but I think that things look pretty solid here. One thing, just to note, and I kind of think that I'm gonna call the dollar's bluff, honestly, but the dollar has been showing a little bit of strength recently. Like let's go to like the 2-day, right? Dollar showing strength, DXY showing strength, right off of its mid range, right? So we've got range low, deviation, range low. Call this our range high, right? Mid-range, like pretty clear range here. We did have a nice little pop off of this, it's definitely causing a little bit of stickiness and I think not helping crypto. This solid bounce, but look, I generally am expecting the dollar to roll over. I'm kind of going to call its bluff here. Like I don't see how at this phase, let's do this. Effective federal funds rate. Typically what we see, here's DXY. Like, let's take a look at what happened in 2019. Like, as we're getting closer into cuts, you can see effective federal funds rate down, DXY down. Let's go back, look again over here in 2006 to 2008. Effective federal funds rate down, DXY down. Same thing over here. 2000 effective federal funds rate down, DXY down. Like, I just don't think, because we are right now, the market is pricing in cuts in later this year, September, October, November, maybe something like this. So it would be very atypical to see DXY show prolonged strength while we're going to get presumably cuts are going to start being priced in a little bit more aggressively here the closer we get to them. So, locally, I guess it can show some strength, but typically when we start to see interest rate cuts, it's pretty bad for DXY, just based on the past 3 cycles. So, I think that I'm kind of calling its bluff. Like, I don't think this is a setup for DXY on the higher time frames that's going to play out. Like, I think, you could maybe make the case, for taking out these highs, maybe some equal highs here. If that did happen, I would then expect us to work on rolling over. But yeah, anyways, it's the relationship here is DXY up, stocks and crypto typically down. So, just keep that in mind. It's got a negative correlation with crypto, but I don't think it's the right environment for DXY to really thrive. So, look, guys, like, everything looks fine. Bitcoin's just a little bit uncertain here. I don't think it makes sense to at this point consider much lower, than like our bottom region here. Like, this is going to be your area of interest right here. If you come back into it, it's been demand all the way, basically this entire year, like going all the way back to February. This has been rock solid demand. So if you come back into it, you just know your alts are going to get obliterated. But I think that this is just setting up for the next move higher, right? Like, I'm not of the opinion that this is distributive and that we're about to roll over. And by the way, if I'm wrong and we did, I think you'd pause here and we'd see a bounce back up, close to our mid range, and you'd probably get like a complacency shoulder and then down. It's not going to just be like this, okay? Like, you're not going to, unless we get COVID or something, right? But barring a black swan, that's not how markets work. Like, if this is bearish, you're going to go here, then you're going to go complacency shoulder, and it's going to take months and months and months, and then you're going to go down like this, okay? And then we talk about another plan. To call for that right now, I think it's a little silly. Like, you need to, if you're bearish, you want to target range low first, right? And then you want to look to reshort like 64 on the underside retest. And then when we lose the range low, you want to look for another short. You want to short here, right? Then you've got consecutive, higher high or lower highs, lower lows. Then you start playing a downtrend, right? But right now we're not in that, right? Like, we're not in that. What we are is in a range. It's just sideways. So I just think people are getting ahead of themselves, when in reality Bitcoin's ranging, and you have to understand that your altcoins are, they're going to get obliterated, and they're very reflexive. And that's what happens during this phase of the cycle. Like, real quick, let's go back to last cycle just for a second, okay? So, this was last cycle's, this was the previous cycle all-time high for the previous bull market. It was about 20K, and you can see that we got stuck underneath this. Let's throw up on the bottom. Let's throw up total 3, which is, for those that don't know, this is like your altcoin index, okay? So this is everything in crypto minus Bitcoin and minus ETH. So, this is your altcoin index. Let's take a look at what happened to altcoins as Bitcoin was, trying to break through the previous cycle all-time high. We'll just call it like this region right here, okay? We'll mark it out in red. So during this time period when Bitcoin was chopping and ranging, now granted, this one was quicker. 2017, we spent 4 months almost chopping, doing this under the previous cycle all-time high. Look at what total 3 was doing, right? So from the high that total 3 set to the low, Total 3, which by the way is all of your altcoins, not one altcoin, it's an average, dropped 30, almost 32%. When Bitcoin here from high to low, it was like 19%, right? And then even just to this spot right here, it was only 12%, right? So Bitcoin sneezes a little bit and your altcoins get destroyed. Within this 31.6% pullback that Total 3 had, there were some altcoins that presumably knew 50, 60, 70, 80% and then went on to recover. This is an average, right? So there's some alts that held up better than minus 30% and some didn't. So, what we're seeing right now, let's just move forward and we'll look at the current price action. Here we go. I mean, look at Total 3. Like your altcoins are just, they look terrible, Like look at this terrible, like, I mean, it's not even that bad, right? But like from high to low to this low that was set, which by the way, we haven't even revisited yet, minus 29%. That's a huge pullback, right? And you can see here, like, Bitcoin pulls back, altcoins pull back more. Like, what's this move right here? Let's take a move. 15% altcoins for an average, and Bitcoin's pulled back 9%, right? So you got to understand, like, why your altcoins are getting destroyed is because when Bitcoin pulls back, altcoins pull back harder. But, like, I don't see the concern with this structure right now. And by the way, you will see me concerned is if we come down here, like 60K, and we come back up and we start like bear chopping into 63. Okay, let's have a discussion. Okay, let's have a discussion right here. I'm not gonna have that discussion. I'm not gonna have that discussion right here when we have weeks of demand after an epic bear trap and we're coming back to retest, in my opinion, before this. So I just think everybody's a little bit too fearful right now. Like, I get it, but this is crypto, like it has a way of testing your conviction and making you feel as though you're about to lose everything. And then it kind of rips in your face, So anyways, that said, I just wanted to give a quick update before the weekend, share some of my thoughts because I know that there's a lot of fear out there right now. But anyways, guys, thanks so much for being here. Before you guys go, please consider liking and also subscribing. Again, we're getting close to 20K on YouTube, so really help push us through. That'd be amazing. Last but not least, check out the links in the description below. The first link will take you to our website where you can sign up for our Discord. Right now, what you can expect is over 2.5 hours per day of private live voice calls with me and the entire Because Bitcoin team. We talk active positions, TA, premium setups, analysis, basically things we don't talk about here. Like it truly gives you that behind the curtain look at how myself and the rest of the Because Bitcoin team are navigating. You can learn from all of us and trade these markets with us day by day, hear all of our intimate thoughts, and basically have a line of communication with us 24/7. It's a great time. We hang out in there and talk all the time. That's the first link in the description below. And also as a bonus, within the next 30 days, you're going to get free access included in your existing Discord membership to our new flagship product called the BB Terminal. It's basically a Bloomberg terminal, but for crypto guys. It's got portfolio tracking, derivatives data, heat maps, high time frame DCA indicators, literally everything that you could need or want to succeed in these markets, all bundled together into one super website. Second link in the description below is to the BB Academy, guys. The BB Academy is a masterclass curated by me and the rest of the BB team. It's got everything that you need to succeed in these markets. So if you want to speed run your educational journey and understand all of my strategies and the rest of the Because Bitcoin team on a granular level, we can save you a lot of time and money learning the wrong things. We sift through all the junk. We sift through all the noise. We compile all of the right information to you, taught to you and brought to you by me and the rest of the Because Bitcoin team. It's truly an unparalleled experience. And again, it's got everything you need. It's real simple. So check that out, guys. Second link in the description below. Support BB and support your educational journey. Guys, thanks so much for being here. Please like and subscribe, and we will see you next week. Take care.